Welcome today to the first installment of the Commissioner's Report, a new show featuring an inside look at the inner workings of your county commissioners. Joining us is Commissioner George Lindsey, who is new to the commission, but is someone who possesses an extensive background in public service, and he is a person who is not a rookie to the mechanics of county government. When did you first get involved in trying to better government, Commissioner Lindsey?
Well, thank you, Jim. I appreciate this opportunity. My dad instilled in me many years ago a civic responsibility to be involved and make a contribution to the community. And my first job out of the University of Florida was with a municipality in Gainesville, and I got to know the insides and the outsides of municipal government and the relationship between staff and the commission. And that intrigued me, and I've stayed involved in that process throughout my adulthood.
Very good. And didn't you work on the Charter Review Commission, the very first one? Yes.
And back in 2001, I was privileged to serve with then Commissioner, or recent Commissioner Dan Costello was the chairman. And we did our review over the year of 2001 and made some very key recommendations to the citizenry to consider on the ballot. Probably the most important one was to make the constitutional officers nonpartisan, and that passed.
Okay.
I think some other counties have followed suit, and I think that served the county well. Then I was asked to serve again in 2009 on the Charter Review Commission because it comes around every 8 years, and I was chosen as chairman in 2009, and I was pleased to serve in that capacity.
Okay, and what about the Polk County Comprehensive Plan? Did you work on that? That was quite an extensive undertaking.
It was, and you recall that was in the early 2000 era when all the counties were required to adopt a growth plan, and it was brand new to Polk County. And there were a variety of citizens advisory committees, and I served on 2 of those committees and was pleased to be part of that process. It continued my involvement with the local community and local government.
So you've had a long run in county government. You know, your work in the private business has served you well in understanding what can happen in a hurry with government and what might take a little bit more time. Will you please share with us your business background?
Yes, after my first 17 years out of the University of Florida working for municipal government and the municipal utility system, I joined the private sector to work in real estate development, and the fellow that hired me, I said, I don't know much about real estate development. He says, no, but you know government. And so much of what we have to do is dealing with various government agencies. And I had the benefit of understanding the limitations of staff and what they could do, and it helped me work through the system to allow progress, and it gave me a sympathy for the staff's limitations and understand what they have to deal with. It was a good blend of the public and private sector, and currently in my real estate business, I also have dealings with regulatory agencies at the state and local levels. So it continues to add to that experience.
You know, you obviously survived the 2007 downturn and beyond. What did that experience teach you in the real estate and development business?
It was a very key learning experience. We ramped up so fast that it was a crazy time for all of us, and none of us in the public sector or the private sector side realized or admitted to ourselves that this was not sustainable. And rather than a slow, gradual winding down process, it just fell off the table. And that's what hurt local government so much. Polk County, for example, lost over $92 million from '06 to the current budget year. That's forced the counties and all the municipalities to take huge hits and revisit their priorities. It taught us to be, in the both public and the private sector, to be more critical, to be more critical thinking about moving forward with projects and opportunities. And to go back and measure those successes against your benchmark of success.
Well, I've known you for a long time as a very intelligent individual, and I know you have a sense of adventure. You love a challenge and you love people. What has made you decide to become a county commissioner?
That's a good question. I've always been intrigued by local government and an opportunity to serve. In most elected positions, whether it's at the city or the county or the state legislature or even Congress, the opportunities only come up about every 10 years, and the circumstances in your life as to your ability and willingness and timeliness to serve, as well as vacancies that are created as a result of term limits and so on. So when this opportunity, I lived in the district, Commissioner English was termed out, a stage in my life that I could do this, all the stars lined up, and literally I was on a motorcycle trip. We had shipped the bikes to San Diego and we're riding back to Florida. And during that ride, you get a lot of time to think. And it occurred to me that the timing is right, the circumstances are right. And I asked myself, if not me, who? If not now, when? So when I got back, I pulled the trigger.
I know that working on the commission is a team sport, but where do you see your role is as a commissioner?
Well, I want to bring that private sector experience and that private sector test the private sector has gone through great trauma. And while municipalities and the county have gone through reductions in services and reduction in staff, that pales in comparison to what the private sector's had to do. Now, the private sector can scale back and not sell as many widgets or donuts or houses or whatever they do. The public sector doesn't have exactly that flexibility. You still have to put out the fires and answer the calls and pick up the garbage and all those things. So there's less flexibility, but it does challenge the elected officials to set priorities. And I want to bring that private sector empathy and sympathy to the commission.
That's well said. How can the county commission impact the forward movement in our county that's situated in one of the 10 fastest growing areas in America?
Well, I'm excited to be a county commissioner in Polk County at this time in history. I think we have bottomed out and we're going to start seeing a rise. It's easy to be a commissioner in good times when you can do all the programs. It's hard in rough times. And I think the worst is behind us. I see the private sector beginning to pick up steam, and I'm encouraged by that. As you know, county revenues and government revenues are a year behind the private sector because of the timing of the taxes. But county government has to create the environment, the attitude that is accommodating to the private sector. We don't need artificial impediments. We don't need extraordinary bureaucracy, but accommodate growth as it moves forward. Now, that doesn't mean we just have to do away with all rules and regulations, but sometimes it's better to enforce the spirit of the regulation than the letter of the regulation. And the spirit of the regulation will allow things to move forward appropriately.
So you're a firm believer in our expedited permitting process to move projects along? Absolutely,
and Polk County is a leader in that. And my first 90 days on this job, I have a great appreciation for the staff and what they've been able to do. And truly, Polk County, on a variety of fronts, is a leader in those kinds of initiatives.
Thank you for that. You truly look like you're having a good time on the commission. Have there been any surprises or challenges?
Well, I tell people I now have 2 part-time jobs that each take 60% of my time. So do the math on that. The surprise is simply the amount of reading necessary in order to stay abreast of the issues that are coming forward. And Mr. Freeman and his staff have done a great job of giving us an orientation to bring us up to speed. That has been the big surprise, is the sheer volume of background work and reading, and the sheer diversity of this huge county. But otherwise, I haven't been caught off guard.
Okay, and what are you working on to accomplish as a county commissioner?
Well, as you know, Melony Bell is our chairman, and it is a chairman's discretion to assign committee assignments for the various commissioners, because we can't all be on everything. It's just too big and too much. So I'm on the Finance Committee, the Lakeland Area Mass Transit, and also the Polk Transit Authority, and which gives me a new perspective, a new appreciation for our mass transit system. Again, the partnership between the municipality, Lakeland Area Mass Transit, and Polk County's transit efforts. We need more partnerships like that, and in this time, I think the municipalities are more willing to participate to make the dollars go further, because it's all taxpayers' dollars. The other thing, because of my utility experience in my other life, I've been asked to serve on a Central Water Cooperative. And again, that's another area where local government is working together. The county is working with almost all of our small municipalities, as well as surrounding counties, to ensure a viable and long-term water supply to accommodate our growth and our movement forward.
You mentioned the Lakeland Vision, I believe, and did you take part in the chamber activities with the Lakeland Vision, and how attuned are you with either the Lakeland Vision or Polk Vision?
Both are great organizations, and in order to know where you want to go, you got to set goals. I was involved peripherally with the Lakeland Vision, not with the Polk Vision previously, and I've been asked to serve on that liaison on the Lakeland Vision, and in fact I'm working and meeting with some of their staff later today.
Okay. What about public safety? Is that an interest of yours?
It is. Of course, Sheriff Judge did a great job on the law enforcement side, and I've got to meet and spend some time with Chief Cash on the fire and rescue side, and those folks do a commendable job. And we've got some first-class facilities. Now, we've still got some facilities that need to be upgraded over the evolution of fire and safety in this county. As you know, Jim, the early on fire services in Polk County was a volunteer army spread throughout the community. And the commission several decades ago saw fit to change that and have a professional firefighters. And the evolution of that has truly been remarkable. I've had the privilege of being part of the ribbon cutting of 2 new stations here in my early term, and to get to meet the first responders. And I had occasion to meet some of the EMS people professionally when I had a motorcycle wreck last year, and they were very courteous and respectful and very, very professional. Great people.
You got to love our fire guys. You know, because of your private background, you've been a long time proponent of economic development. Tell us, where do you think economic development's headed in Polk County? We see the reorganization of the Central Florida Development Council. Communities are starting to create their own economic development organizations.
Again, it is that private-public partnership that is going to make this a success. You were very integral in helping move that initiative forward. And now we do have a more visible, viable private-public partnership that will help us move forward. And again, it also yet another example of the municipalities working in concert with the county. Anything whether it goes in Frostproof or Fort Meade or Davenport or anywhere else, it will benefit all the residents of Polk County and our tax base and our general infrastructure. So it's an exciting time to be part of that. We got some great leadership, and the leadership pool behind that is second to none.
You're a consummate businessman, a very busy county commissioner. I also know you have a great love of family.
Yes, everything starts with your faith in your family.
Yes, sir.
As you know, I lost my wife at 41 years some time ago to breast cancer, and I was fortunate to find another young lady that was want to spend some time with me, and with our blended family, her 2 children and my 2 kids, and now we have our first grandson. But she's celebrating his birthday, number 2 birthday, just this past weekend.
Oh, very good. Well, you are a joy to. And a joyful addition to the Board of County Commissioners, and we thank you for being our first guest on the show, Commissioner.
My privilege. Thank you.
George is a dynamic individual, and coming up next on the Commissioner's Report, we'll be meeting another dynamic leader, Board Chair Melony Bell. Thank you. With us now is Commissioner Melony Bell. Welcome to the show, Commissioner Bell.
Thank
and
you.
Congratulations on being the chair of the Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you.
You have been a public servant for most of your young life. Could you please share with us what has motivated you to serve our citizens and how you started in your home community, the beautiful city of Fort Meade?
Well, DG, it's a funny story, and I'm going to try to give you the small scenario of it, but I was never a politician. I know it's hard for you to believe, but I was a mother raising 2 daughters, and I was working for Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles as an auditor, and real involved in my church and the Junior Women's League, and that was it. And there was a prison that was going to come to town, a private prison company, and my mother called me out of the blue one evening and said, "Have you been reading about this prison? And you know, you're going to be raising children here. Do you want our town to be known as a prison town?" And I said, "Mom, there's nothing we could do about it." She goes, "Well, I think you need to go down and find out about it." So I did, and to make a long story short, I went down, found out about it, and created, after the evening was done, I got up and asked a couple of questions, and after the evening I had a lot of these people that were fighting the prison already come to me and said, "Would you please help us lead a group, Citizens Against Prison?" So we hired an attorney. We become actually a political activist group. It was called CAP, Citizens Against Prisons, and we fought City Hall and ended up getting City Hall to take a referendum on a straw ballot, and they voted, the citizens voted it down, and there were people that left the Planning and Zoning Board, that left the commission, that was involved in all of that afterwards, and so we won. And about 1.5 years went by, and a seat came up on the commission, and these people called me and said, "Would you run for city commissioner?" I said, "I don't think so." They said, "Please think about it." So I did, and they said, "If you will, we'll run your campaign." And so I ran for commission. They ran my campaign, and I won. So, and I served as a Fort Meade City Commissioner and Mayor there for 14 years. And it was exciting because I don't think of myself as a politician. I think of myself as for the people, an advocate, that, you know, somebody that's afraid to come to a commission meeting and get up and speak. They can call me and I can take their problems to the commissioners.
Well, you know, from the upheaval of the prison and then your 14 years with the city commission, what made you want to become a county commissioner?
Well, after serving on the city commission, we didn't feel like we had a voice from the smaller cities, especially here on the south part of the county.
Yes,
and I oversee, actually, I have 5 municipalities in my district. I come from District 2. And so I was just hearing that, you know, being at the Ridge League of Cities, that, you know, that there just was a misconnect there between city and county. So, you know, my children were getting older. My daughter was graduating from high school, and I thought, you know, it's time, you know, to do something bigger and better and grander and be a voice for the smaller cities. So I decided to run for county commission, and I had a daughter, actually, when I started running, one out of college and one in college. So it worked out perfect.
And you have 2 daughters, and so you're balancing your job, your role as a mom,
yes,
and then becoming a county commissioner.
Absolutely.
Oh. You know, speaking of small cities, I have a feeling that growing up in a small community has served you well in your public life. Is that so?
I am very fortunate to come from a small city. I've had the support of, you, not only just my neighbors, but my church, you know, the members of there, and then the community that has rallied together for me. And it's good to, you know, I don't make it downtown very often because I'm out and about throughout the whole county, but when I go back, it's good to hear, you know, my school teachers that I had, or the pastor, or somebody, you know, that I looked up to in the community say, "Melony, you're doing a great job for us, and we appreciate you." But I think, you know, coming from a small town doesn't make you a small person. And I heard that the other day, and
That's great.
It makes you, I think it gives you more confidence coming from a smaller town because you have the support and you're grounded. I just feel like I'm so grounded coming from a small town. I'm very fortunate.
Yes, ma'am, I believe so. And you know, it's an important job being a county commissioner. What kind of role does the county commission play in the future of our county?
Well, coming from the City Commission, I thought I had that experience under my belt, but there's no way coming into the county. The county's huge. I mean, you think about this county, 2,200 square miles. If I leave my hometown in Fort Meade and drive to Poinciana, we're looking at an hour and 40 minutes to drive there. And I'm all over the county all the time. And I didn't realize that so many departments are with the county. I could be taking care of elderly services with a problem there, and 10 minutes later I'm worrying about somebody's road being paved or a school sign out there to slow down for children, or problems with private landowners. It's just so much. But the responsibility is huge as being a county commissioner. I realized it about 2 days after I took office. I thought, my goodness, what work. This is not a part-time job, but I love my job. And how many people can get up in the morning and say, I want to go to work? I chose this profession. I asked the people to put their confidence in me to be a spokesperson and do what's right for them.
Oh, you love your job, and it shows. Any surprises or challenges?
I think probably the most surprising was the different departments that we oversee, the budgets that we oversee, as for instance, the Sheriff's Department budget, the surprises that goes on there. I've been able to tour the jails and their challenges, what they have. I mean, they come right back on the backs of the County Commission, because we want to make sure that they have the funding to do their job properly and safely. I mean, we want to make sure, our guys out there and women are safe in the job they have to do. So I think it's a big responsibility on us, because we're looking at budget challenges daily because of the economy. And how can we do a balancing act to make sure that our employees are taken care of? Because I think we have the best employees here at Polk County.
Oh, thanks.
I really do.
You and your colleagues on the commission are individuals, and you all have your own goals. What are some of your top priorities on the commission?
Well, when I first ran, I would say my platform was to bring the county together as a whole, because as you know, there's always been an east-west shift and a south-north, and I want to bring everybody together for the good of Polk County, because it is so big. And I think my most proudest moment that I have seen the last 2 years is the tourist development tax for the arts and cultural. If you will remember back in 1986, when the original ordinance was passed and the people voted it in, it was 2 pennies on the heads and beds tax. Now this is only if you stay in a hotel in Polk County are you going to pay this tax. And it was voted in that 15% of that first 2 pennies would go for arts and cultural. And we've kind of got away from that and was doing more heads and beds for sports teams, which sports teams brings heads and beds, and that's so important, because that's what brings this tax, and it generates about $8 million a year if you look at the whole 5 pennies, which we help the Lakeland Center, the Lakeland Tigers, the Winter Haven, their theater, and it's spread throughout the county. But we went back, and I got the commissioners to go back and look at that ordinance and say, how could we help the arts and culture? Because employment is so important here in the county. In order to bring professionals here and keep them here, it has to be about the arts and the culture of our county. With USF coming online with Lakeland Hospital, they're going to be bringing in 200 residents program. Well, we want to keep those people here after they complete their residency. So they're interested in the arts. So we're so rich here in the county with the arts, and so we just need to market ourselves better. We need to get the best kept secret out there, or the worst kept secret. We need to make sure that when somebody wants to move to Polk County, that they do have the arts. I mean, we have Bach Tower, we have the theaters, we have the Lakeland Center, we have the Polk Arts Alliance that oversees this. So I got the commission to go back and vote, take back on the original intent. So we're generating over $400,000, and about a month ago we were able to divvy that money out to different agencies throughout the county, and it was done fairly. We have an arts and culture board now made up of 21 people, new, and I chair that board. And it's just not all arts people on there, it's business people that sees the importance of arts and culture. So now we've divvied out the money, we're going to come back and say, okay, how can we market this arts and culture better for the county. So I'm excited to see how our next few years are going to go, being able to have this money for the arts and culture.
Well, you're certainly passionate about the arts. Let's transition from community development and the quality of life to economic development. Okay. The Central Florida Development Council, that is part of the county, is in a reorganization phase, and I know that you've been an integral part of that.
I felt it was very important to switch over, doing it how we used to do it. It's time for a change, for us to become more private than public, so that we can entice businesses to come to Polk County, to move here. And a big piece of that is education. Is our workforce ready? And I talk about our high school graduates. Are they ready to go into the workforce and do these jobs, for the high technology jobs and all that we're hoping to offer, since we have USF that's here in Lakeland. We have the Florida Polytech, CSX, Legoland, and now Streamsong that's right in our backyard there. So it's very important that we have these kids that are graduating. So I've gotten involved. I know you say, well, what does a county commissioner have to do with education, and why am I helping out there? Because in order to create jobs and high-tech paying jobs, we need to have a workforce. So I've gotten involved with John Small Workforce Education and partnering up with businesses, because I have the key contact with these businesses. When they come to Polk County, they're looking at a commissioner, especially the chairman now, they want to do business in Polk County. So I have that ability to say, you're knocking on my door, you're asking what can we do for you, I want to know what you can do for us and for our education system. And so they have partnered with several schools now to like Welldine, which is a pharmaceutical. They have partnered with Fort Meade High School, and they're partnering with 3 others to have a pharmaceutical tech certification. And they are from Welldine's going to go in, do a white room for them, a robotics, and these kids will go through a 4-year learning process, and when they graduate from high school, they will be able to have a pharmaceutical tech certification and make $40,000 a year. CSX has also come to the table, and they're wanting to do some logistic high schools along with robotics also. We have Streamsong that's going to do a turf management, golf turf management, high school, and hospitality. So it's very important, and not only is our kids ready, but we've had employers say, when we have high school kids come to our office when they graduate from high school, they don't know how to speak properly, they don't have their pants pulled up properly, they don't have the clothes, so we need to train our students how to apply for a job and be school ready if they're not going to go to college. They're looking for jobs, and it's really very important for the county.
As a mother of 2 young people, and I know that you have a heart that's larger than the I-4 corridor, because I've seen you in action assisting at the George Harris Youth Shelter in Bartow. Why'd you get involved there?
Well, you probably know a lot of it, but you were on the board, and we had a meeting, I believe, at the old Citrus and Chemical Bank building, and I was looking for advisory board members, and didn't know a whole lot about the George Harris Youth Shelter. I knew it was there, and that was basically it. And this young boy got up and spoke of how he lived in a home that was not a loving home that you and I are probably used to. His father came in one evening and beat the mother and beat him, was on crack cocaine. You remember that story? It was horrible. And he lived North Lakeland out on Duff Road, and he got on his bike and knew that the George Harris Youth Shelter was a safe place, and he rode from North Lakeland to Bartow for a safe shelter to get away from the father. And that just pulled at my heartstrings. So I went over and toured and came into contact with some other children there. And I say children, these are 10 to 18 years old. I can't imagine a 10-year-old being, having to be taken out of the home for a safe shelter, but it happens. So I got involved there, and I've had some open houses that I've actually hosted, and we need to bring more awareness to the county, because there's a lot of people out there with big hearts other than me, a lot of people.
And speaking of hearts, you certainly bring a huge heart to the Board of County Commissioners. Thank you for being on the program today. On behalf of the Polk County Board of County Commissioners, Commissioners. I'm Jim DeGennaro, thanking you all for joining us for the first edition of the Commissioners Report. Next month, we'll feature 2 more commissioners. Until then, please take care and enjoy this beautiful place we call home.